Welcome back to Coin Nexa Vault. Before we get into today's coins, I need you to understand something. The pennies sitting in your change jar right now are not all equal, and some of them are hiding details that the average person walks right past every single day. Every coin we're covering today has a specific thing to look for, a specific reason collectors chase it, and a specific number attached to the right example. And the final coin on our list today is the one that genuinely stops collectors cold when they find it, so stay locked in until the very end. Let's start with something that proves ordinary years can produce extraordinary coins, the 1989 Lincoln penny, a coin that most people drop into a tip jar without a second thought, but one that a small number of collectors know to pull out of circulation immediately and examine very carefully. Here's what makes this particular penny worth your attention. The 1989 Lincoln cent came from a period when the United States Mint was striking pennies in absolutely enormous quantities, both in Philadelphia and Denver, and when production volumes are that high, quality control slips, and when quality control slips, errors enter circulation, and errors in circulation are exactly how ordinary pennies become extraordinary finds. The specific detail you want to examine on a 1989 Lincoln penny is the obverse, the front face of the coin, and more precisely, the area around the date and the words "In God We Trust" running along the top of the coin. On certain examples from this year, collectors have identified doubling on the lettering, where each individual letter appears to have been struck twice at a very slightly different alignment, creating a faint but unmistakable shadow behind or beside the primary impression. You don't need a professional microscope to catch this. A basic coin loop at 10 times magnification is enough, and you are looking specifically at the letters G, O, and D in God because that cluster of letters is where the doubling tends to show up most clearly on the strongest known examples. Hold the coin at a slight angle under a consistent light source, tilt it slowly, and watch for that secondary impression to catch the light differently from the primary one. Now, what is a 1989 Lincoln penny actually worth? A standard, circulated 1989 penny is worth exactly 1 cent, full stop. But a 1989 Lincoln cent with a confirmed double die obverse, graded by a third-party service like PCGS or NGC, and coming back at a level like MS65 or higher with full red designation, that same coin starts entering territory that makes dealers pay close attention, with certified examples in top condition selling for figures well into the hundreds of dollars, and the finest registry quality examples climbing higher still. The 1989 penny also carries some interesting production context. This was the era of the zinc core copper-plated cent, introduced back in 1982, and by 1989 the Mint had years of experience with the new composition, yet striking anomalies and die preparation errors were still appearing regularly enough that specialists built entire reference guides around them. The doubling on this coin isn't a myth or a collector's wishful thinking. It is a documented, cataloged variety that surfaces in coin rolls and old collections with enough regularity that searching for it is genuinely worth your time. As always, the value of any specific coin depends entirely on its condition, the sharpness of the error, and whether it has been professionally graded and certified. Those factors are what separate a 1-cent penny from a collector's prize. But here's the thing. As interesting as the 1989 penny is, the next coin on our list today takes everything we just talked about and raises it to a completely different level, so do not touch that pause button. Next, the 1984 D Lincoln penny, and if you've got any wheat cents or early memorial cents sitting in an old collection somewhere, I need you to pay very close attention right now because this particular coin from the Denver Mint is one that collectors in the know specifically request when they're digging through unsearched penny rolls, and the reason is something so visually specific that once you know what to look for, you will never look at a 1984 penny the same way again. The 1984 D Lincoln cent is documented as carrying one of the more dramatic doubled ear varieties in the Lincoln Memorial Penny series. And yes, you read that correctly, the EAR. On Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse of the coin, the ear of Lincoln is one of the highest relief design elements on the coin, and on certain 1984 D examples, that ear shows a second, fully formed impression sitting just below and slightly behind the primary ear, creating what collectors describe as a double ear effect that is striking, unmistakable, and completely unlike the subtle doubling you might strain to see on other varieties. To find it, hold your 1984 D penny under a direct, focused light source. A small flashlight or a desk lamp with a directed beam works perfectly. And look at Lincoln's ear, which sits on the right side of his portrait as you look at the coin, roughly in the middle height of the design. Tilt the coin very slightly toward and away from the light. On a regular 1984 D penny, you will see one clean, smooth ear impression. On a double die example, you will see a second ear-shaped ridge sitting just below the first, like a shadow that has decided to take on physical form. It is one of the most satisfying error details in the entire Lincoln cent series to find, because it requires no guesswork. Either the double ear is there or it isn't. Now let's talk about what that means for value. A circulated 1984 D doubled ear penny in well-worn condition is still worth significantly more than face value to the right buyer, with lower-grade examples trading in the range of tens to low hundreds of dollars among collectors who specialize in Lincoln cent varieties. But the certified, high-grade examples, coins that somehow survived the trip from the Denver Mint to a collector's hand without ever entering circulation, graded MS-65 red or above by PCGS or NGC, those coins represent something genuinely rare within a common series, and their prices reflect that rarity accordingly, with top-tier certified examples commanding prices that reach well into the hundreds, with exceptional specimens pushing toward the low thousands at auction among serious Lincoln cent collectors. The 1984 D penny is also historically interesting because it sits right at the beginning of a decade when collector awareness of Lincoln cent varieties was growing rapidly. Books were being written, reference guides were being compiled, and the numismatic community was starting to systematically document errors and varieties that had been hiding in plain sight for years. The doubled ear on the 1984 D is one of the varieties that got people excited about searching penny rolls, and it launched a generation of collectors into the habit of checking every single Lincoln cent that passed through their hands. It's worth noting, as always, that condition is everything in this hobby. A worn, corroded, or damaged example of even the rarest penny variety loses most of its value instantly, which is why third-party certification from a service like PCGS or NGC is the standard that serious buyers and sellers use to establish what a coin is genuinely worth. Search your rolls, check your jars, and if you find a 1984 D penny with that unmistakable double ear sitting below Lincoln's portrait, treat it like the find it actually is, because you may be holding one of the most sought-after Lincoln cent varieties of the entire Memorial series. If you've got a coin like any of these sitting at home, drop a comment and let me know. And if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you never miss the next one.